If you put yourself in his position, Sam, what diamonds are you betting? Where is your cutoff? Next caller here is going to be Sam. How's it going?
Hey, Bart. Yeah, it's good. I'm excited to be on the show finally. I've had a few hands that I've submitted before, and this is the one that has made it.
So, have you ever been on the show before?
No.
Are you just British or Scottish or something, or what?
I am English and just kind of living out here in Dallas right now.
Uh-oh, one of those types. U.S. driver's license.
One of these Euro regs. Yeah, these Euro regs. You want to get rid of?
I know. The English guys even hate me even more because they call them Euros. It's the worst. I once went to Ireland one time. This was when I was in college, and I got in a cab. This was in Limerick, Ireland, and I told the cab driver it was good to be in the British Isles. He literally wanted to take my head off.
Yeah, that is criminal.
Yeah. What was the blind for this game?
So it's a 5-5-10. It's like the Wednesday. Also, self-plug. I am the UK's only and biggest poker blogger, and it is in my last video.
What's your vlog?
And that's just Sam. It's just Sam Clark Poker.
All right, so 5-5-10 Wednesday.
So yeah, this one is actually the first and the only time the whole stream that there was a 50 straddle, I think. So It was 5-5-10, and then under the gun was the 50 straddle. I have 3.7.
Okay.
And I think
3.7.
The main villain in this has about the same.
All right, so 3.7K. So really, you're not that deep with this straddle, right? If you're going to open a 150, I think that's another thing that a lot of people I've talked about just don't pick up on, because these games, like, I mean, I'm going to the Palms right after this. Like, we played the entire game last week, 5-10, 25, 50, 100. And there were a lot of people with just like 5K, and that's only 50 big blinds. So you're really not that deep. You're only 60 big blinds. All right, so 3.7K effective with a $50 under the gun straddle, okay?
Yeah. Exactly. So without the straddle, I have like 370 big blinds, so it is pretty deep. But then when there's this extra straddle on, less so.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I opened to 200. I don't know what you think about that sizing, but I was like, I want to get this kind of heads up or three ways.
What position are you in?
Everyone on the table calling. I am the low jack, and I have king jack off. I don't know the actual suits. I think I sent it in the email.
So you open it. So you open at 200. So it's 4x. I mean, the only thing that I would say is that I do tend to make it. I mean, you're so shallow, it might not matter, but I do think that actually opening a little bit smaller when you're not playing this big straddle all the time, I think it matters if the hands are all straddled all the time, where it is truly just like a $50 blind game, or if it's just once in a while or once a round. I tend to just like to make it 3x to keep the pot a little bit more manageable, so that you at least have some maneuverability. Because then if you get 3-bet, not that you're going to necessarily defend with king jack off to a 3-bet, it becomes more manageable. There's one other thing too, Sam Clark Poker, that I'm going to note here is that this is when you're playing in a multiple straddle game like here, where you've got 4 straddles. The low jack is in essence almost like +1 or under the gun, right? Depending on what your definition of low jack is. I think a lot of people don't get that, where they're like, "Oh, I'm on the button." Well, you're on the button, but there's 5 or 6 straddles or blinds. There's 6 people that haven't acted. Just because you're on the button, it's not the true button. So you have to adjust to that.
Yeah.
So
I think there was either one player before me, or I was literally first to act pre-flop. Yeah. Right.
So I would tend to go a little bit smaller, but okay, you make it 200. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm not defending this if anyone 3-bets anyway.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, I made it 4x so that I would try and get heads up or 3-way, and the hijack, cut off, button, and straddle.
Hijack, cut off, button, and straddle call.
Yeah, so 5 ways, and I only have position on one of them. So it didn't go very well pre-flop.
So 5 ways, and you're basically out of position. Just you're in position against the straddle, and the pot's like 1,000, right?
Yeah, pot is 1,020. Just
okay.
Blinds on top.
By the way, you have king of hearts, jack of clubs, someone said in the live chat. So I'm going to put that in there. Okay. Cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, so obviously my first thought when I see that many people call is I'm going to need to connect really hard with this flop to be able to continue with any aggression here. Like even a king on its own isn't going to be enough probably. So we get a flop of king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 3 of hearts.
So you flop.
Those qualify.
You're
connecting hard.
Flop top 2. Just one quick thing on what you had said just a second ago there, where you're like, well, I'm going to proceed with caution, with the king. What's interesting, as I have said recently on the content, is that not only do cash game players not play tournaments that well unless they take the time to look at short stacks, but they don't seem to play in Texas these short stack scenarios very well either, because when you open King Jack, like somebody should be 3-betting you with King Queen off like 50 big blinds effective. Like the offsuit hands go up in value, but you don't see a reflection of that. So if they were playing well pre and you flopped a king, I wouldn't be all that concerned. But because they're flatting with a lot of hands because the stakes get very large, it gets weird. That's what I would say. Obviously, this is a good flop for you, right? Top two. Okay.
Yeah, and it's top two with a flush draw present. And I thought that, like, obviously all of these guys are VPIPing pretty high. And a lot of the extra hands that get added into these calling ranges that aren't in maybe a tighter player's range is these kind of like low disconnected suited cards. So there's going to be lots of flush draws that I can get value from by betting here, I thought, as well as maybe some like ace jack that, like you said, maybe should be a 3-bet, but isn't. And then, like King 10 suited, that kind of thing.
If you started with 3,700 and now you only have 35, so you only have 3.5 pot size bets left, I'd go like 400 here. Maybe even five. Actually, you're up against 4 other people, right? Like 500, 500, something like that. I mean, it's fine to start going larger.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You got
checked to you? I thought I want to. Yeah, it did check to me, which I think is just the straddle, if I remember right. And then I was deciding on sizing, and I thought I actually want to be betting pretty big here because of what I just said. There's going to be lots of draws to charge, and there'll be some random king and jack X that should have 3-bet me probably.
Yep.
But then it's a very multi-way pot, so I just generally don't bet over half pot in those situations, so I bet 400.
Okay. So you bet 400.
Yep. And only the hijack calls.
So next to act calls.
Going heads up to a turn.
Next to act calls.
Everyone else folds.
All right. Fold out. So that's interesting because next to act calls, obviously that should be much stronger, right? Than like if it got folded back around to the straddle. He really should have like a flush draw or a king here. I mean, I guess he could have queen 10 too. It wouldn't surprise me if someone's got queen 10 off, but I mean, he really shouldn't be calling with the jack. I don't know anything about, I did watch the video a little bit, but he looked like he was a younger guy. I think I'd seen him on here before, but I didn't know anything about how he played. So folds out. So you put in 800. So it's 1820 to the turn, right?
1820, yeah. And just on the villain, the reads I had, this is the first time I've played with him, but he seems to be VPIPing pretty high, kind of standard Texas live game player.
Okay.
That's what I can work out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So 1820, yep.
Yeah, turn is very bad, 2 of diamonds.
So 2 of diamonds, king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 3 of hearts, turns a king, deuce of diamonds, hero has king jack in this mega straddle pot, starting with 3,700, 5, 5, 10, 50. And he bet 400, which I do think is a little bit on the smaller side, into 1,020. And I mean, the only thing to be said, I see some people saying, oh, bet really, really large. Occasionally, if you actually bet small, you might induce somebody to just jam on you with a draw, which is obviously good, right, Sam? Like, so shallow. And if you just bet large, they might call. But Sam bets 400 on King Jack 3 with top 2. Next at calls, folds back out 1820, turn, comes in the front door, deuce of diamonds. Okay, so I assume you check now?
Yeah, so I'm checking, and I'm checking with the intention of folding to any decently sized bet as well, because of what I said pre-flop. I think a lot of these ranges that are wider are filled out with like suited cards, and this is a bad card. If he doesn't have a flush, this is a bad card for anything else that he called me with, right? Like any king or whatever probably isn't loving this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't just
back a lot.
I wouldn't blindly say that I'm just folding. I mean, I think it's going to depend. Like, I mean, he bets like 450 or 500 here. I'm going to call.
Yeah, any reasonable size. Anything like anywhere near half pot, I'm probably folding.
So you said he checked back. Is that right?
And he very quickly checked back. Like I checked, and by the time I looked over to him, he was already tapping the table.
So that usually is indicative that he might have a king here, right? I mean, what I would say about bet pacing, because I think that that's really an important live tell, one of the few that I really use a lot. You can sometimes do hand rating based upon bet pacing, where this wouldn't really be consistent with some portion of his range, like a lot of flushes. I think he would think about it if he was going to slow play. Nut flushes, even if he was going to check it back, he might think about it. Smaller flushes, got to think about he wants to protect. If he had like queen 10 here, he'd want to at least think about using this card as a bluff. And it tends to just sort of fall into like maybe he's got king 9, king 10 off, some bullshit like that. So I do like the spot. So a hijack checks behind. Hopefully you can get a clean river here.
Yeah, so I completely agree with your logic on
Hmm.
that part. And so I was thinking on a clean river, like a 2 or a 3 or something like this, I'm just probably going to value bet small. Um, but yeah, this was not a clean river. We got the 8 of diamonds.
Oh,
So
okay.
4 for 4. Yeah.
So King Jack 3 deuce 8, and now excuse me, King Jack 3 front door diamonds. You flop top 2, bet next act calls. Turns not a great card. Deuce of diamonds, but it goes check check. And now the river rolls off a fourth flush card. Obviously you don't have a diamond, so you have top 2
Yeah.
here, but it rolls off 4 diamonds. And at this point now, obviously there makes absolutely no sense to bet because you just be bluffing your
Yeah.
hand. And I do think you have showdown value. Here's sort of my take right now is that you hope he has a king that doesn't have a diamond and it'll just check back. If you check
Yeah.
and he bets, you sort of, I think, have to evaluate. It's fairly interesting in this particular spot. Okay, so I assume you check.
I check, and again, I'm pretty much done with the hand now. I'm planning on folding to any reasonably sized bet. I think there is going to be some combos in his range that he has like a decent 1 diamonds. For example, one of the main ones would be like king, queen with the queen of diamonds that
Right.
didn't 3 bet but probably should have done, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I check, and the pot is 1820, and he bets 600. And I didn't snap fold because straight away it caught my curiosity. Like, why are you betting 1/3? If all of the diamonds that you're going to want to bet here on the river are going to be big ones like queen, pretty much just the queen and ace, I thought would be the ones that he probably should value bet to try and get caught by worse. Because considering I think I don't end up here with many big diamonds myself, given this line, but probably some. Um, yeah, I just thought that was a little bit strange. So then I thought, are you actually value betting like a smaller diamond here, like the 9? Which would be weird. And yeah, given the way he played the hand, I couldn't think of many big flushes that he could have. I didn't think it was possible for him to have the ace of diamonds because, like you said, he would at least think about betting the turn. If he had something like ace queen or ace 10 off with the ace of diamonds, I think he's definitely going to at least consider bluffing this turn. If he has the nut flush on the turn, he's going to bet it most likely, or a big flush. So yeah, suddenly it's just really weird. And I've literally never done this before in my life. And I'm very interested to hear what you think about it. But I decided to turn this top 2 pair, which now doesn't seem like it's winning, into a bluff
Okay, so don't
and
say the
check
result.
raise.
Okay, so what did you check raise to?
So
You all in?
I check raise to 1500 because I didn't think it needed to be all in because either he's bluffing or he's going to have like a small diamond given that size. Or I thought anything that puts money in when I check raise is going to be the ace of diamonds and he's going to jam on me anyway. So why would
So
I need to go all in?
so let me give you my take here at the end. And I do, like I said, I did see the result, but I'm going to give my entirely sort of, kind of honest take here. Now, obviously, the ranges can be wide pre-flop, but in general, I don't like this play. And here's why. And especially for your sizing. So when you have a strong hand on a 4 flush board that is not a flush, meaning like your hand just went to shit, like it did here, right? So you have a bluff catcher, like any hand here that's not a flush, with the exception of pocket threes, which I think we can pretty much almost discount that, right? You're going to beat any hand that's not a flush here. Do we agree with that? You beat any hand that's not a flush here. So when you beat any hand that's not a flush here, and he bets on the river at the end, then your hand is a bluff catcher. And we wouldn't want to take a bluff catcher and turn it into a bluff. Now, especially for your sizing here, I find it very, very hard to believe that he can ever really have a low diamond here. Like in spots like this, it concerns me a little bit that he's bet so small because it does seem kind of value-y. But in spots like this, I would call way, way before I would raise. And the thing is that like, if he is, this is the way I look at it. He either is bluffing, he turns something into a bluff that's on a diamond, you call, you win, right? Or he's betting a diamond that is not going to fold to a check raise. Because what diamonds here, if you put yourself in his position, Sam, what diamonds are you betting? Where is your cutoff? If you are your opponent, what are you going to bet here at the end that you can get here with, given the action?
Yeah, so probably queen of diamonds would be the bottom of what I would bet here, and anything
Okay.
lower than that, I would just check behind and hope to win.
So if you were playing against yourself, do you see why check raising king jack would be a bad play here?
Oh yeah, horrendous. Yeah, I totally agree. I wasn't doing it myself because I would actually have the right hands to value bet.
I just, but I mean,
But
I tend to think that like a lot of live players, if they're recreational, they like to take showdown. I mean, I always call them like showdown monkeys. They like to take a lot of showdowns. They like to take a lot of showdowns, and they don't even value bet the hands that they have. So whenever in a situation like this, and then because you made it so small, I mean, obviously if the guy is really wide, if he was playing anything normal to sort of reasonable pre-flop ranges, he really can't have any low diamond here. Like you say, well, I mean, it looks like he's like value betting the 7 diamonds. How does he have the 7 of diamonds? He called next to act on the flop. The board is king jack 3. Unless he's playing like king 7 off. So really like the lowest diamond that he can credibly have here would be like the 10 of diamonds if you called with like queen 10 off or jack 10 off or king 10 off or something like that. Like I don't even think he can have a 9 here because even jack 9, like he's not going to call next to act on the flop. So of his flushing hands that are possible that are played this way, they're all 10 of diamonds plus. So I don't like the raise here because those hands aren't going to fold. So he's either bluffing and you have the best hand, or he's value betting the 10 of diamonds plus here, and this is just not going to work. In general, you don't want to take a bluff catching hand and turn it into a bluff. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
I would counter.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would counter one thing here, that if you bet the queen of diamonds and get check raised on this river for a small value looking sizing, I would say you're still not living your life. And especially if it's like the 10 or the 9, I think it's going straight in the muck. And that's kind of what my thought process was.
You thought that this guy would bet a 10 here and then fold to, he bet 6 into 18 and you made it 1,500, which is super small. So the pot's going to be 4,900 for you to call. You think that he's going to bet fold the queen of diamonds here or the 10 of diamonds for that sizing?
Yeah, I did. And that's why I did it. Yeah, it was like I said, I've never done this before. And I totally see why you shouldn't do this. Like, I don't. I mean,
listen, if you wanted to get
it's purely an exploit.
I would, if you wanted to make that case to me, I would check raise all in. I think all in is a much better sizing than 1,500 because of the price that he's getting.
Yeah, but then I thought he then can still have the ace of diamonds, right? So, I mean, it would be weird for him to have it. I didn't think he would, but there is a small chance that he has it, and I don't think I need to lose like the full stack. I thought like it will get the folds from the hands I'm targeting for this size. And it just gave me a really good price on just purely like, obviously if I get called, I'm never good, right? So my hand has 0 equity. And this bluff that I worked out the sizing, so the pot is 2,400 and me putting in 1,500, it needs to work 37% of the time, I think it was.
Right, because once he bets 6 and 18,
I just thought it worked that much.
Right, so, and of course he's supposed to defend down because you are only risking 15 to win 24 and you only need to be good 37% of the time. He's supposed to defend down with 63% of the hands he gets here with for value, which all those diamonds probably fit into. I just think that...
Well, I just don't think he is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't... Here's, again, this is super, my sort of experience from live exploit, because I really do feel like Texas games are pretty far behind sometimes in terms of learning curve. In general, when these boards get 4 flushing, people become very, very polarized in the sense that they're either going to check back a hand that they should value bet, and when they do bet at the end, because they're checking back so much medium strength value, they become polarized to a very strong hand or a bluff. Your hand is a perfect candidate for a bluff catch here because you beat every hand that's not a flush. So that's why I would not really bet the river here. And it seems, raise the river as a bluff. And it just doing normal hand reading, he never really should have a diamond below a 10 here if that is even betting. Now, tell us what happened. So you check raise to 1,500. Okay.
Yep, I check raised to 1,500 and he snap folds 5-3 of diamonds face up.
So the hijack, and again, this is on video because I saw it, and like I said, hopefully Thomas, who is in the live chat right now, our animator, who does these nice videos that we've been doing once a week, we'll try to use this one because I want to split in Thomas from France, another Euro in the live chat. I want to split in the live stream video. Maybe we can do a little cut. So I saw this, and what's so crazy to me, Sam Clark Poker, about this hand is that this guy checked back the turn with a flush, and then he bet the 5-high flush at the end. What is going on here?
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, though, I'm still not a fan of your play. I'm going to be 100% honest for you. I mean, this just seems like I wouldn't, I mean, obviously I believe it and I saw it, so I believe it. But if somebody had called this in and I would have been, and I didn't see the video, I'd have been like, this, if this happened, it would be such an outlier because it's so hard for someone to show up with a small diamond on the river here because of the way the hand went down. They would literally have to check a made flush on the turn and then value bet a 4 flush at the end with the 5 of diamonds. It's so bizarre.
All what I thought is he's going to have like queen 10 with the 10 of diamonds or something for that size was more what I was targeting. It's definitely a crazy one.
Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it, Sam. I didn't know Sam was a vlogger, so take it easy. Oh man, that was one was really off the rails. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to this channel down below. And to get more live cash game, no limit training, head over to crushlivepoker.com and you can use the code YTA400 to get the first 30 days for free.